Well, we have a Fox News alert for you, though. We're going to talk more about the Texas residents bracing for the strongest hurricane to hit the state in more than a decade. As Hurricane Harvey gains strength in the Gulf of Mexico, state and local officials warning people to evacuate today while there's still time to get out.
I am not going to send a boat down there after we ask you to leave. I'm not going to put one of my deputies' lives in the line to go down there and get you out. Right. So you're on your own.
Well, joining me now is former FEMA Chief David Paulison. Thank you very much for joining us. So let's begin there with evacuations, since we just heard the sheriff mention it. We spoke with the governor of Texas a short time ago. He said you only have one life. Use it to get out of harm's way. So a lot of people sometimes they stay put. They think they can ride it out. What's your advice?
Well, that's absolutely the wrong thing to do, particularly with this storm. It's a slow-moving storm. It's going to be very powerful, very big, probably a Category 3. But now we're not sure exactly where it's going to go. It's more than likely going to sit there for a while. So there's going to be a lot of flooding. The governor has called for the evacuation. The mayor's called for an evacuation. It's time for people to get out, and the time is very short. The landfall is within a few hours from now, 5 or 6 hours, and now is the time for them to move before they can't get out.
You know, 16 years ago, back in 2005, the Gulf Coast there dealing with Hurricane Katrina pummeled that area. We had Hurricane Andrew, which came in at a 5 in Florida. The main issue there was wind damage versus the flooding that you're talking about with this one. What do you learn from these storms that you can bring into how you deal with the next one?
Well, a couple things. One, I'll start with Andrew first. Hurricane Andrew obviously was a windstorm, a lot of damage. And what happened, we lost 100,000 homes. And why did those homes fail? Brand new homes came apart. So we very carefully looked at why the homes failed and what part of it failed. And we changed our building codes to adapt to that new environment. So now our homes that have been built since then will withstand a lot stronger winds. And Hurricane Katrina, there was a lot of issues with the not calling for an evacuation, the governor not calling for an evacuation like we see in Texas, the mayor not calling for an evacuation. And we lost over 1,800 people because they got stuck in their homes. A lot of them drowned. So I'm very pleased to see what Texas is doing. Texas has a proactive governor out front, making sure that people know what they need to do, a very strong emergency management system, one of the best in the country. So the state is going to be ready. The federal government's going to be ready, but it's up to individuals to take some personal responsibility to take care of themselves and their families.
Finally, we have this just in. The president has sent a tweet out. He says, I have spoken with Governor Abbott of Texas and Louisiana Governor Edwards, closely monitoring Hurricane Harvey developments and here to assist as needed. I heard you speaking earlier today, and you talked about the amount of money that goes toward the disaster once it happens versus before the disaster.
We're spending 14 times more money on the post-disaster side as far as the pre-disaster side. If we step back and say, okay, can we transfer some of that money from one side to the other and do more work up front to prevent our buildings from failing, doing flood control, doing those mitigation efforts, it's going to serve us very well. We're working with a group in Washington called Build Strong, pushing for stronger building codes across the entire country, not just the 16 states that have them now.
All right,
and I think if we do that, we're going to survive much better.
All right, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see what happens. Appreciate it.